on the release of the state capture report. We take the conversation further now. Wayne Duvenhage, CEO of Organization Undoing Tax Abuse, joining us on the line. Wayne, good to have you with us. I know you're calling this a momentous occasion for law-abiding citizens of South Africa to celebrate. There are some, though, who have warned against selective prosecution, one of them being the Secretary General of the SACP, Blades Zimande, saying the investigation of these crimes and the prosecution should extend to the private sector as well. I know you particularly look at the abuse of tax. What's your view and your feeling on the prosecution of the private sector who've been involved in the state capture project?
Yeah, absolutely. They should definitely be prosecuted. You know, the corruption coin has two sides to it. It is not just the people who hold the checkbooks within the state, but it is people who enable those transactions inside business to channel monies to where the corrupt wanted to go. So without a doubt, you know, and we've seen the Bains of the world, we've seen McKinsey's, AB&B, many companies, and the Gupta's companies involved in state capture and corruption, and they need to be held accountable, yeah.
Yeah. Do you get a sense that there is a willing from the state to collaborate in this crime-busting initiative where certain elements, for example, of investigation or of prosecution could, to an extent, involve private institutions that have capacity?
Well, we believe that there should be reaching out to civil society and others, you know, big investigation firms and that, because I think it's been proven now that the Hawks, the investigations units, the NPA themselves are under a lot of pressure. They're undercapacitated, and they're never going to get through this mountain of evidence and the need to prosecute as many people as possible that have been involved in state capture already. 4 years the State Capture Commission has been running. They should have been, you know, laying charges concurrently. They didn't need to wait for the end for the report to be written. That evidence has been produced already, and yet for some reason they've been very slow. So it is now mounted up. And you can't, you know, we don't want to sit with this and still be prosecuting and going through the evidence in the next 5 years. We need action and we need accountability as soon as possible, but obviously not rushed. It needs to be thorough so that people don't slip through the net.
Yeah. Give us some examples of, I suppose, where civil society could come in and advance the work of the NPA and what kind of pressure still could be applied on the Hawks and the NPA, for example, to carry out this very important task?
Well, I think first of all, there's a Section 27 referrals within the NPA, which allows civil society, and we've made a few of these referrals directly to the NPA. In other words, we don't have to go via the police or via the Hawks. So we provide evidence. We literally build the cases for them. They just need to corroborate it. Obviously, they can't take our version of things as fact, but everything is provided there. They can then go and subpoena bank accounts and get the evidence verified and clarified. And when that happens, it makes the cases so much quicker and so much easier for them. In other words, we become an arm to the NPA with the investigations and that, but in a legal sense, as we said, through the Section 27 referrals. So that's one area that I think they need to engage more meaningfully with civil society. As I said, we've laid a couple of those cases and presented them with a lot of that evidence. The other is bringing in investigators, you know, professional investigators and legal-minded people who need to help the NPA and the Hawks. They've been decimated over the years and hollowed out, as we've heard, and they need these skills. So I think civil society should be willing to step in and assist in that regard as well, including big business and some of those companies that were part of the problem in the auditing processes that were looking away when all of this was happening at the time. So I think there's quite a few areas. And then lastly, I think it's time that we allowed private prosecutions to happen a little bit easier. You know, we have to wait for a nolli prosecute certificate from the NPA. It's very difficult to get those. Only been a couple of those cases around. I think the law needs to change now to enable civil society to bring private prosecutions, but hand in hand with the NPA, so we don't usurp their authority and walk all over them, but that they allow that to happen in conjunction with civil society.
Yeah. Having taken a browse through the report, I know one of the areas in which you were directly, as OUTA, involved was the situation at South African Airways. Does the report confirm what you've always known? Is there some new information that is emerging, maybe further investigations that was done by the Commission that is bringing forth new information that you otherwise were not at that point aware of?
No, everything that we are aware of is in that report. You know, the case that we brought against Duvenhage to have it declared as a delinquent director, we could only get through because it was such a big case. A couple of the areas that we presented, but we had all the stuff on the BNP Capital and other areas where they were found wanting and interfering with the operations at SAA. And, you know, with Dr. Dawa and Tulium Share, their removals from the airline and so forth. So I think we're aware of all of that. We were very pleased to see her involvements with Duvenhage and Busasa and her meddlings with Eskom as well. So she has a lot to answer for, not just at SAA, but her interference in many areas within the state. But yeah, we were not surprised to see what we read, and it's very incriminating, very good evidence presented, good cross-questioning, inviting people in, and the fact that Duvenhage didn't want to answer questions, I think, has just dug a hole deeper for herself.
Failure to implement these recommendations, I mean, what would that mean for broader society?
Well, it would be devastating, quite frankly. You know, we have been set back as a nation. We have been robbed blind by a handful of people. You know, when you think about it, who have enabled us to not advance as a nation. We should be growing. Our economy should be growing. We should be investing a lot of money into education, security, housing and health services in this country. We've lost billions of rands, and we're poor as a result of this. And if nobody is held accountable for these atrocities, and some of it treasonous atrocities, then that would be a sad day for this country. So we really do want to see, and it's long overdue now, accountability for those who have transgressed the laws of this land. They need to be tried. They need to answer the questions in court. And if found guilty, they need to spend a lot of time in jail. And that's what South Africans have been waiting for a long time.
Wayne Duvenhage, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much for talking to us tonight here on In Focus on Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405.